In the sterile glow of a hospital room, where machines beeped like distant thunder and the air smelled of antiseptic and despair, a powerful CEO stood frozen, his world shattering around him. The DNA results clutched in his trembling hand revealed an impossible truth. The poor girl who had just donated blood to save his dying son was no stranger. She was his daughter, lost to him for over 2 decades. But how could this be? As tears blurred his vision, he whispered, "Who are you?" And in that moment, the past came rushing back like a tidal wave, threatening to drown them all. Stick around, because this is a story of sacrifice, secrets, and second chances that will leave you breathless. If it touches your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional tales that remind us of the bonds that bind us. Anna Thompson had always known hardship like an old friend. Growing up in the shadow of towering skyscrapers in the bustling city of Eldridge, she lived in a cramped one-room apartment on the wrong side of the tracks, where the walls were thin and dreams even thinner. At 22, she worked 2 jobs, mornings at a dingy diner flipping pancakes for tips that barely covered rent, and evenings as a janitor in a high-rise office building, mopping floors while executives in tailored suits hurried past without a glance. Her mother, Elena, had raised her alone after her father, whomever he was, abandoned them before Anna was born. Elena never spoke of him, only that he was a mistake from a life I left behind. Cancer had taken Elena 2 years ago, leaving Anna with a mountain of medical bills and a heart heavy with grief. But Anna was a fighter, with kind eyes that sparkled even in the dimmest light and a smile that could warm the coldest soul. She volunteered at the local blood bank on her rare days off, believing that giving what little she had might make a difference in someone else's world. Across town, in a penthouse suite overlooking the city lights, lived Richard Harrington, the iron-fisted CEO of Harrington Enterprises, a multinational conglomerate that dealt in everything from tech innovations to real estate empires. At 50, Richard was a man of precision and power, his days filled with board meetings, mergers, and multi-million-dollar deals. His life was a fortress of success, but cracks had formed when his only son, Tommy, was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder 6 months ago. Tommy, just 10 years old, was the light of Richard's life, the boy with his father's sharp mind and his late mother's gentle laugh. Richard's wife, Sophia, had passed away in a car accident 5 years earlier, leaving him to raise Tommy alone amid the chaos of his empire. Doctors had warned that without a compatible blood donor for a critical transfusion, Tommy's condition could turn fatal. Richard had spared no expense, flying in specialists from around the world and offering rewards to potential donors, but matches were elusive. His desperation grew with each passing day, turning the once unyielding CEO into a shadow of himself, haunted by the fear of losing the one person who made his wealth feel meaningless. One rainy afternoon, as Anna finished her shift at the diner, wiping grease from her hands, she overheard a news broadcast on the tiny TV behind the counter. Urgent plea from Harrington Enterprises, CEO Richard Harrington offers $50,000 reward for a rare blood-type donor to save his son. The amount was staggering, enough to pay off her debts, maybe even start fresh. But it wasn't the money that stirred her. It was the photo of Tommy flashing on screen, his innocent eyes pleading for help. Anna had the same rare blood type, O-negative with a unique antigen marker, something her mother had always called a family curse. Without hesitation, she grabbed her coat and headed to the hospital listed in the report. "If I can help a kid, that's worth more than any paycheck," she muttered to herself, stepping into the downpour. At the hospital, the process was swift but nerve-wracking. Nurses drew her blood for testing, and Anna sat in the waiting room, fiddling with her worn-out phone, scrolling through old photos of her mother. Hours ticked by, and just as she was about to leave, a doctor burst in, his face alight with urgency. "Miss Thompson, you're a match. A perfect one. We need to proceed immediately, the boy's in critical condition." Anna nodded, her heart pounding. She signed the forms without a second thought, lying back on the donation bed as the needle pierced her vein. As her blood flowed into the bag that would soon save Tommy, she whispered a silent prayer, thinking of her own lost family. Little did she know, this act of kindness was about to unravel secrets buried deep in the past. Richard paced the hallway outside Tommy's room, his phone glued to his ear as he barked orders at assistants. Find out everything about this donor. Background check, family history, now. When the transfusion began, relief washed over him like a bomb. Tommy's color returned almost immediately, his vital signs stabilizing. The doctors called it a miracle. But as protocol, they ran a full DNA compatibility panel to ensure no long-term rejection risks. It was standard procedure, nothing more. Or so they thought. The next morning, Richard was summoned to the doctor's office. Dr. Ellis, a seasoned hematologist with kind but serious eyes, slid a folder across the desk. Mr. Harrington, the transfusion was successful, your son is out of danger. But, there's something else. The DNA match isn't just compatible, it's familial. The donor, Anna Thompson, shares 50% of her DNA with Tommy. She's his half-sister. Richard froze, the world tilting on its axis. That's impossible, he whispered, his voice cracking. Memories flooded back unbidden, a brief, passionate affair 23 years ago with a young secretary named Elena, before he married Sophia. Elena had left the company abruptly, claiming personal reasons, and Richard had never looked back, too consumed by his rising career. Could Anna be his? He demanded a retest, but the results were undeniable. Panic set in, how could he face this? Tommy was stable, but now his family tree was uprooted. And Anna? She was poor, uneducated by his standards, a reminder of his youthful indiscretion. Shame and fear warred within him. Anna, recovering in a nearby room with a juice box and cookies as her reward, was oblivious at first. The $50,000 check arrived via a courier, along with a curt thank you note from Richard's office. It was life-changing money, she could finally breathe. But when a nurse let slip about the DNA oddity, curiosity gnawed at her. She confronted Dr. Ellis, who, bound by ethics, suggested she speak to Richard directly. Trembling, Anna marched to the CEO's private waiting area, her diner uniform still stained from the morning shift. Mr. Harrington? I need to know, what does this mean? Their first meeting was electric with tension. Richard, impeccably dressed in his suit, looked at her like a ghost from his past. This can't be right, he said, his voice cold. You're mistaken. But Anna's eyes, those were Elena's eyes, the same shade of hazel that had once captivated him. She pressed on, her voice steady despite the storm inside. My mother never told me about my father. She said he was gone before I was born. If you're him, why did you leave us? The confrontation cracked Richard's facade. He confessed in halting words, the affair, the fear of scandal derailing his ambitions, the payoff he gave Elena to disappear. I was young, stupid. I thought I was protecting my future. Anna's face crumpled with hurt. Protecting your future? What about ours? Mom worked 3 jobs, died broke from cancer treatments we couldn't afford. I grew up thinking I wasn't wanted. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and for the first time in years, Richard felt the weight of his choices. But denial lingered, he offered more money, a settlement to keep it quiet. Take it and go. Tommy doesn't need this complication. Anna refused, storming out with dignity intact. I didn't donate for money. I did it for the boy, for family, even if you don't see it. Back home, she wrestled with the revelation, sobbing into her pillow. Challenges mounted, rumors spread through the media, painting her as a gold digger. Paparazzi hounded her at work, and her boss fired her, fearing the drama. Bills piled up again, and isolation set in. But Anna's resilience shone. She took odd jobs, leaned on friends from the diner, and visited Tommy secretly, reading him stories through the hospital window when nurses turned a blind eye. Tommy, innocent and recovering, asked about the nice lady who saved me, his curiosity sparking a bond. Richard, meanwhile, faced his own turmoil. Sleepless nights haunted him, visions of Elena's face accusing him. Tommy's questions grew insistent. "Dad, why won't you talk about the donor?" A pivotal moment came when Tommy relapsed slightly, a minor complication from stress. In the ER, Richard broke down, realizing his son's health depended on emotional stability too. He sought therapy, confronting his ego and regrets. Slowly, he reached out to Anna, first with an apology letter, then a tentative meeting at a neutral coffee shop. Their reconciliation was gradual, layered with emotional depth. Anna shared stories of her mother's strength, the Christmases with handmade gifts, the lessons in kindness despite poverty. Richard opened up about his lonely childhood in a wealthy but loveless home, how success became his shield. Challenges arose, trust issues flared when Richard's board questioned his judgment amid the scandal, threatening his position. Anna faced backlash from skeptics, doubting her motives. But together, they navigated it. Richard used his influence to quash false stories, and Anna's authenticity won over the public. A turning point came during a family dinner, the first awkward gathering with Tommy. The boy, with his boundless energy, hugged Anna tightly. "You're my sister? That's awesome. Can you teach me to make pancakes like at your diner?" Laughter broke the ice, tears following as Richard finally embraced Anna. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I can't change the past, but I can be here now." Resolutions unfolded. Richard set up a trust for Anna's education, helping her pursue nursing school, a dream deferred by poverty. He integrated her into the family, holidays filled with warmth instead of emptiness. Tommy thrived, his health a testament to the power of connection. Years passed in the story's gentle arc, suitable for lingering reflections in a long video. Anna graduated, becoming a nurse at the very hospital where it all began, advocating for underprivileged patients. Richard stepped back from full-time CEO duties, founding a charity for rare disease research in Elena's name. Tommy grew into a compassionate young man, inspired by his sister's selflessness. In the end, as the family stood together at Elena's grave, laying flowers under a sunny sky, Richard turned to Anna. "You saved more than Tommy that day. You saved me." The message was clear: true wealth lies not in bank accounts, but in the courage to forgive, the strength to give, and the bonds we choose to mend. Life's greatest twists remind us that family isn't just blood, it's the love we build from it. If this story moved you, showing how one act of kindness can rewrite destinies, please like the video, it helps spread these inspiring tales. And subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that celebrate the human spirit. What secret family revelations have you experienced? Share in the comments below.